Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Oh, weather looks really great today. I think this is supposed to be one of the really sunny days. I actually had a place I might attend in the weekend, which I might be able to get some really good shots. So I was thinking of trying to practice more the point of interest shots and so forth. Probably a good day to test those new cinema filters too. Let's see. There was one interesting article I read. It was about drone safety, I believe, and it kind of made me, wonder. Essentially, from what I gather, it involved crashing a drone at full speed into a dummy, like those crash test dummies, I guess you can say, that they would use for cars. For example, they sit in the car seat, you run the car as fast as you can, let's see, the seat belt protects them. But in this case, they were taking that dummy and they were flying drones at full speed and crashing it right into its head and so forth. So I guess, from what I gather, it's supposed to determine, what's the max speed a drone should be flying, to be safe and all that. I don't know, to me, it seemed a little weird. I mean, technically, wouldn't any object going at a fast speed towards a person or anything like that cause major harm or damage? Whether it be a soccer ball or a frisbee or a baseball, wouldn't they all be equally dangerous? So what exactly is this thing proving? I would imagine, for example, if it's drone safety, for example, you'd be more focused on safety measures. For example, even for my Mavic Pro drone here, it has, for example, collision detection. It tries to stop basically if it's too close to an object. I mean, wouldn't you focus on stuff like that? Otherwise, to me, the reason why it doesn't make sense is if I was to compare this with, say, a car, it's almost like taking that dummy, putting it in front of the car, and having the car go full speed or whatever and running into the person to conclude, okay, driving a car towards a person is dangerous and can cause a lot of damage. So what's the result of that? Are you going to say, for example, in order to be safe, you must drive only 5 kilometers an hour? I don't know, maybe someone has a different perspective, but to me it just seems, I don't know, it seems like it's one of those tests or researches just to do something. I don't know, maybe someone has a different perspective, but to me it just seemed a little silly. There's also another interesting article I was reading about drone countermeasures. Just a company, for example, that has all these tools and stuff. I mean, it's kind of crazy. They had these huge cannon or bazooka looking things. Apparently they can target it at a drone and take complete control of it. It's kind of interesting, as in that article anyways, it was saying how there were people out there that were going to use drones for dubious reasons. For example, attaching, deadly weapons to it and so forth, where it's undetectable and it can crash into crowds and all that. Yeah, what it made me think of before was just the discussion about laws and so forth, and how if you make it too ridiculous, there'll be no one less, flying it. And in terms of the country, people will fall behind. So what happens if it's so ridiculous that no one flies, even as a hobbyist or a professional person, and then basically the country will fall behind. Everyone else in the world are using drones to deliver packages, do research and all that stuff. And then back here, for example, we're still in the Stone Age saying, nope, these things are dangerous, you can't use them. You'll have no flyers here. So I guess that's kind of another kind of topic where it comes down to, you should have the balance. It shouldn't be so ridiculous where, no one's going to be able to use these things, no one's going to have any skill sets in flying, or at the same time you don't have people doing stupid things like flying, 60 kilometers an hour towards real people. Right, almost to the spot. I guess if I have the battery, I guess I will test some various filters just as a visual reference, and maybe it'll help you guys too. Maybe I'll try what is it? So I think there's a new 4PL one on this one. And again, I've actually never tried an ND32 one, but again, I'm assuming this is the ideal conditions you're talking about for this type of filter anyways, but we'll see. You guys can basically learn with me. Oh, that was actually a pretty productive test, I thought. So I basically decided to test the 16PL and the ND32. And the reasoning for that is since it's so bright, and those are technically the darkest filters, I believe, besides the regular ND16, I thought it would be interesting to see how it affects, the picture quality and all that. Just from what I've seen on the screen, it seems like the N32 helped the most during the point of interest test, I would assume, but you guys will see with me. I'll find out when I get home and you guys can, you guys are learning with me, I guess. But the good thing is, I guess I got a hang of that point of interest. Doesn't quite give me the exact thing I want, but I think it'll help a lot actually for my weekend adventure if it ends up going through. And as I said, all the snow is going away pretty fast. Kind of interesting how just a few days pass by and poof, the scenery is completely different. Yeah, one of the difficulties I find using those polarizing filters is, to my knowledge, you have to turn them to a certain spot in order to get like that sweet picture spot. But to do that, for example, like for the Mavic Pro, you can't actually put the filter on the lens and then start turning to like get the perfect picture. It has to be like off of it and then you have to turn. So by the time you actually do connect it, you could miss it by like, just a small amount, which changes it. Which to my knowledge, to things like, for example, those Phantom drones or the bigger ones, you can actually put the filter on the lens and then start turning. Am I mistaken? But yeah, that would be way easier. But I guess just because of the compactness, I guess people don't have that much room to work with, like when designing filters for the Mavic Pro. It'd be nice if there was an option to do that though. Make my life a lot easier. It's only like day 23 into the New Year's. And I think one good thing is I'm getting really comfortable just taking the drone out and flying it. As actually with my previous video, like with that other person you saw me flying with his Phantom, he was super scared taking it out. Like he's afraid to like bust it, for example. But for me, like that's how I was in the beginning. But now I find I'm just like, okay, drone, take it out of the bag, boom, 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 let's go. I'm actually more concerned now about, am I flying it, safely away from people, not to crash, away from objects? Am I getting the right, lens shot? So it's kind of good. So I'm not, I guess it's just like driving a car, right? When you first start, it's, oh my God. And then afterwards, like people drive with one hand. I don't suggest flying the drone with one hand, but yeah. But it's kind of cool how just a little bit of practice every day can make you a really confident flyer, I guess, in the future. All right, I guess that's about it for now. I'll see you guys later.